I know that each of us repeatedly deals with concepts around free speech and who should be allowed to talk, not just who should we listen to as an expert, but what kind of things should go on at our universities. Clearly, the free speech laws that I'm used to in the United States are different than they are here to some extent. I don't know because I'm not an expert, but there are places that are outlawing offense, the causing of offense, as if, not just in the sense of blasphemy, but serious offense. That bothers me almost as much, if not more, than what we're seeing happening in our halls of higher learning. Where do you think we are? How did we get here, and what needs to be done to fix it? You're welcome for the fix the entire problem at once question.
Well, I'm a little uncomfortable talking about this in the UK, where you don't have a Bill of Rights. So we're in very different situations, or importantly different situations in the US and the UK, and your libel laws are the inverse of ours. I feel like in the US we have a slightly better balance, as frustrating as it is to contemplate suing people for slander and then realizing there's absolutely no way to do that. Whereas here you can sue and the burden's on them to defend themselves.
Cost, yes. Yes, I find, for me, the issue is not so much about free speech as freedom to listen. And when people are denied access to, when they're deplatformed, as I have been. Have you been deplatformed?
No.
It's quite
an
honor.
What's strange is, and this is, you'd think we would have similar experiences here, I've actually never had a heckler.
I've only had one.
Yeah, so don't be the first.
That doesn't count.
Yes.
I've only had one. That was in Oklahoma. Somebody who said, "You've insulted my savior."
I'm sure you had.
I was quite keen to engage with him, actually, but unfortunately the security people dragged him out. But I was deplatformed in Berkeley, California, and this hurt me because these were, as I thought, my own people. This was KPFA, which is an ultra-liberal radio station in Berkeley, California. When I lived there for 2 years, and I loved KPFA. I used to be a subscriber. They're subscriber only, and I subscribed to them. And so I felt hurt by that. I didn't think it was a free speech issue, actually. I mean, they're entitled to, it's a radio station, they don't have to have me on. But I did feel it was a freedom to listen. And people had paid to come to an event which I was billed to speak at. And I thought, this comes up again and again in universities, and I do feel that Berkeley, of all places where the free speech movement started, universities of all places are places where students ought to be exposed to opinions that they disagree with, opinions that they find distasteful or hurtful. And I think it's a betrayal of everything that a university stands for, that people are being deplatformed by students and prevented from, and other students are prevented from hearing what they want to hear.
And I'm actually very glad that you made that point. So one of the things that happens is we announce an event like this and somebody's like, oh, there's massive disagreements between these, how did they get on the same stage and blah, blah, blah. There were people who would have been convinced that you and I had a difference of opinion on this deplatforming thing. And in reality, I think we're almost side by side, because my view is a university gets to invite whatever speaker they want. They can disinvite whatever speaker they want. People can go or not go. They can protest or not protest as long as they're doing it peacefully. It's when they dishonestly go about trying to deplatform somebody. So it's the method that they're using to shut someone down is what I object to more than people exercising their right to listen or attend an event. And in many cases, we've seen the people who run the venue have no idea about the nuances and whatever bickering has been going on in the community around this, and they'll get a message from somebody. It happened at an event I was at yesterday. Oh, you're putting this group, women, in danger by having this speaker here. And as the owners of a venue who have to listen and have to have insurance, this is a tactic that works to get speakers removed when it actually has nothing to do with the content of what they're saying or a fair representation of the conversation that might have been.
Yes, I mean that is exactly what happened in the Berkeley case. That they were phoned up by, I think, one individual, and they just acted on that. As you say, they feel they have to act.
Well, the problem is it does work, and especially when there are security concerns involved. I'm in touch with this group, the ex-Muslims of North America, which has been, for reasons easy to parse from the title, have security concerns, and when they try to book an event at a university, they're now finding their events canceled the moment people figure out, who they are, but they have the legal right to free speech. There's no law against criticizing Islam, but people have just discovered that it's so inconvenient to incur these security concerns that you have a de facto loss of that freedom.
It makes me wonder about, this actually came up in a couple of discussions. I had Mohammed Syed on the show recently, and yesterday I moderated a debate between Faisal and Hazrat Amani. There's a lot of different perceptions about what Islam is and what Islam isn't. If I'd have said that faster, it would have been a good tongue twister. You would think that if we exercised our moral outrage against problems fairly, that it would not be the ex-Muslims, the ones who are trying to point out the problems, who end up deplatformed. That there would be enough, I realize I'm being a little idealistic and wide-eyed, that there would be enough genuine concern about humanity that we could have conversations on important topics and not be sidelining the people who are actively trying to work to fix the issue, because not every ex-Muslim is reactionary. Some of them are reformers or attempting to.
Well, of course. There was a terrible episode in London School of Economics when Mariam Namazi, who is, I suppose, the leading ex-Muslim exponent in this country, was giving a speech, and she was barracked and heckled, and more or less the thing was closed down by a group of Muslims who came and I think tore out her microphone, tore out her PowerPoint so she couldn't speak, and she courageously soldiered on. But what was truly distressing about that was that the feminist society of LSE came out in favor of these Muslims. Feminists of all people who you would think would be disgusted by the sorts of way women are treated by Islamists. That I think was what was truly awful about that episode at LSE.
Yeah, it's a point that people don't tend to notice, but the ex-Muslims are actually the most vulnerable and beleaguered community, because apostasy, as I'm sure everyone here knows, is thought to be punishable by death under Islam, certainly most interpretations of it. And so here you have a community that is threatened by the religious community they've attempted to leave, and many of these people are in the closet, they can't use their real names, and yet this is precisely the community that is attacked as Uncle Toms or racists or colonious shills by so-called liberal non-Muslims. So they get it from both sides, and they have virtually no sanctuary but the secular community.